You're listening to Track Talk with CH and Ferdy.
Check. Mic check, 1, 2. Yes. You're now in tune to Track Talk with CH and Ferdy. I'm Coach Harris.
I'm Ferdy.
Yeah. Man of many words. Want to welcome y'all back. This is episode 3, right? Yeah, episode 3. We're in there. All right. And before we get started, I just want to say, because when we're recording this, by the time you listen, it'll be over. I don't care. It's National Pancake Day. Shout out to everybody who went to IHOP to get those free pancakes. I did not. I made my own at home. So there.
I wish I knew about it. I didn't even know.
Man, it was from 7 to 7. So, like, most people didn't get out of work till, like, 5. Then they're rushing to IHOP to get there and to get free pancakes before 7. So, you know it's like a,
There's a mad rush. That's what they do it. They don't want people eating for free.
Yeah. I mean, and they were legitimately giving away free pancakes. However, the bacon was probably like $14.99 for a side.
Right.
Water was probably like $3.50.
But were they doing like 2 pancakes at a time? Probably.
It was probably like a 2 or 3 pancake minimum or something like that. It wasn't all you can eat. It was just free pancakes.
Oh,
so I'm pretty sure they had a set number of pancakes. Yeah, distance runners were probably loving that. Carbon up. Yeah, but my pancakes had bacon and walnuts in them. It was beautiful. Sorry to all you who had just the free plain pancakes, but
I had gummy bears.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Oh yeah, everything I ate today was sugar. It was donuts, it was chocolate milk, it was gummy bears.
Wow.
And some meatballs in between.
See, I'm still kind of on that intermittent fasting thing. We're not trying to promote diets, just telling you what I'm doing. So that was all I ate today because it fell within my window. But when you're busy, you forget to eat, and you're like, oh snap, I gotta eat. So yeah. I ate, and I ate well. I ate pancakes and bacon and eggs with some agua to wash it all down.
Water's always good.
Yeah, I was feeling like Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction. I needed a tasty water to wash this down.
You need the water because it's healthy.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you had like walnuts and bacon in your pancakes along with a side of bacon and eggs.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good though. I'm pretty sure I'm burning it off right now as we speak. Speaking of burning.
You actually are, by the way.
Huh?
Scientifically, you are.
Exactly, yeah. Speaking of burning things off, later on in this episode, we're going to highlight a really, really hot weekend in track and field. We had tons and tons and tons of conference championships in the NCAA ranks, capped off with the creme de la creme, the who's who of track and field. It's just like football. The SEC championships seem to be the best of the best every year, and this year did not disappoint. We'll get into that later. But first, we will talk about the topic of the day, which is new athletes on a track team. What to expect, what you should, expect at a practice, at a meet, things of that nature, what you should expect throughout the season. We're going to dive into that. To all you new athletes, this is your first time playing a sport, and it just happens to be track, or you played a sport like basketball, football, lacrosse, soccer, whatever. You come in a track. Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be different? It's, we'll break into that, and break it down. Anything you want to add to that, sir?
No.
All right, so.
Actually, why don't we start with how did you feel like your first time at practice? How old were you when you started?
Freshman year, ninth grade.
So do you remember signing up and then going to that first practice?
Oh, yeah, very clearly. See, what happened with me was I was a star in high school, at least in my mind, because that's how we all are, right? We all know what we're going to do as soon as we go to high school. Until we get to high school, we learn how it actually works. So my plan was I was going to play football, I was going to play basketball, and then I was going to run outdoor track. So I played football, I was on the freshman football team, went to basketball trials, got cut, and I was like, okay, I was going to run outdoor track anyway, so let me just do indoor, because my friends kept bugging me about it, because I had a friend that was a sophomore, he was a year ahead of me. He was already on the track team, he was a shot putter, and he kept telling me, man, you said you were going to do outdoor anyway, you might as well just come on and do it. So I joined, and I had run track before at like summer camps and everything like that. You know, we had like little track meets at the end of summer camp, but not like a full-fledged season of track. And I fell in love with it because I joined. I found out early on I was pretty good for my age. Then I got to the first track meet, and that was the first and last track meet I ever was on the freshman team. Because right after that track meet, I ran the 55, and I ran this was all hand time back then, but who cares? Times don't lie. I went 6.72 my first meet, and they're like, "Oh Jesus, we're moving up to varsity." I was like, "Oh, I'm on varsity." And then let's keep it real, because we're not holding back on this podcast. I walked in as a freshman, 14-year-old freshman in high school, and I saw about 30 teams total at this track meet. I'm used to playing football. I'm used to playing basketball. It's us versus the other team. They might have some cheerleaders. I saw all these co-ed teams with all these girls, and I said, "Hold up, it's like this every weekend?" And my friends was like, "Yeah." Hold up, and I'm on varsity after one meet? Yeah, I watch basketball on TV. I'm this track thing is all for me, and you know, that's what I remember from when I first started track. I had nothing but a great experience, so it welcomed me in well. What about you? You remember your first time when you joined track?
Yeah, first, when I was in middle school, I found out I was quote unquote fast because I was beating people just impromptu races in the hallway.
Yeah.
And so then when I got to high school, that was the first time I heard about indoor track.
Okay.
In about a month before it started, I broke my wrist.
Ooh.
And I was in a cast. So I didn't even go to sign up for indoor track because I figured, well, I'm kind of injured here, so I can't, even though, you know, in hindsight now it's like, yeah, I could have done it. Well,
yeah,
whatever.
Most sports, broken wrist, you're done. It's a wrap.
Yeah, track, you know, I would have been fine.
Yeah.
Either way, so, you know, I just signed up for outdoor, and I knew nothing. I've obviously seen the sport on TV.
Yeah.
Definitely remember from the 92 Olympics watching track and field.
Yep.
But I didn't know anything. Like, I did not know how to do an A skip. Definitely didn't know how to do a C skip. Just kind of lost there.
Yeah.
Whatnot. But, you know, I kept with it. I don't know. I don't know what about it. I mean, my teammates were helpful. I was probably 130 pounds, probably less. So, I don't know. I was probably scrawny and little to them. And
yeah.
I don't know. And a number of them played football, so I was definitely not, I did not look like them, for sure. But, I don't know. You know, I was always respectful. I understood this isn't my place necessarily, but,
yeah.
You know, I stayed with it.
One thing I noticed when I joined as well is that the difference it had. I was coming from football. I had played basketball in elementary and middle school, so I'm used to, you know, tryouts. You know, if I make the team, am I going to start? But with track, there was no tryouts. You know, if you joined the team, you were on the team unless you got kicked off, which, you know, you got to be stupid to get kicked off. There were no cuts, so if you join the team, you join the team. You know. There were no starters. If you want to run the 55, you want to run the 300, we're talking about indoor at the time, you want to run the 600, you can. They have as many heats as they has runners. So that was one of the main differences I learned, you know, quick about track and field. Like, it's really, really what's the term I'm looking for? Athlete friendly, I would say, because everybody gets to participate. I know everybody makes the joke about, oh, everybody gets a trophy. Everybody doesn't get a trophy, but everybody gets an opportunity at a trophy. And that's what I liked about it. There was no like, oh, well, he's only starting because his brother played or his dad is somebody's. There's none of that. Either you're fast or you're not. Either you can jump far or throw far or jump high or you can't. But at the end of the day, you get an opportunity to show what you can do no matter what. So, I mean, granted, there are certain, you know, meets where there's a limit on entries. But for indoor, it wasn't like that. It was just You come, you sign up, you run your events, and go home, and have a lot of fun in between. Because track meets are controlled chaos. Is gonna be about anywhere from 3 to 6 hours of just nonstop track and field going on. So that's another thing I would say too. Coming from football, I'm used to the games and going on. You may not play every play, but you might play on offense. So when you're on offense, you're out there every play. You go to the huddle, you come back. Basketball, you're just up and down until you get a sub. Track and field, you run an event, you got like about a 2-hour break to your next event sometimes. So,
yep.
Practices, I think, also were different for me because.
Oh, you were a distance runner.
Actually, I was not.
You know what I mean.
I was actually what we would call a mid-distance long sprinter. However, when I went back and looked at some of the things I did for workouts, I was like, man, I was a distance runner, didn't even know it. We were doing like 5 and 10 mile runs, but it was just crazy because when you're playing a sport, you're working on your fundamentals for that sport. With track, you have a bunch of people working in different areas doing different things. It was kind of similar to football where you have like your linemen are at one station for at a time. Then your receivers are at one spot. Your running backs are at a spot. Your quarterbacks are, might be working with the receivers. So in that aspect, it was kind of similar. But with football, with basketball even, after you do your individual drills, you come together as a team to start running plays together. Track, it's not like that. You're just with your training group you might warm up with your whole team, but then you're with your training group. So if you're a sprinter, you're with the sprinters. If you're a distance runner, you're with the distance runners, jumpers, so on and so forth. So that's one major difference. It's a collection of individuals who I like to look at as, to a certain extent, I don't want anybody to get this twisted, your selfishness kind of helps the team. Whereas you can't be selfish in basketball, you'll be a ball hog. You have to pass the ball. You can't be selfish in football, you need the whole team. You can't be selfish in soccer because you need the whole team. You need to pass the ball around to get the best shot on goal. With track, you can focus on you. The only time you really have to worry about the team per se is in a relay. So in a sense, it's like your selfishness, focusing on yourself, benefits the team because the better you do individually, the better you have a chance to score points for your team. The better chance you have to, contribute to that relay. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree.
Yeah. What did you find? This dude is crazy, man. Man of many words.
Exactly.
What did you find different or similar about like practices and things of that nature when you joined?
I'm trying to remember. The whole time you were talking, I was trying to remember what practices were like.
Mm-hmm. I would say it was a lot looser than the football practice. Football was like, okay, we're doing this here, then we're doing this here, then we're coming to scrimmage, and then we're running, and it was just like really intense. And track was real laid back.
Yeah. What I remember is we didn't have a track necessarily.
Ooh, all right.
We didn't have a home track.
I remember those days.
We had to go to school down the street in the hood.
Yeah.
And, for the first 3 years, we used to, jog down, kind of like it had been part of our warm-up. But, not such a safe neighborhood, so we ended up taking the bus the last year or something, I think, that I was there. But
we did not. I went to a Catholic school, and we jogged through the hood all the time. They didn't care. They said, that's your warm-up. We had to jog like a mile to practice.
Yeah, so, we only had one coach.
Uh-huh.
And I was kind of put in that 800-meter category. Even though I was also doing a 4x1 and 4x8 and 400. Yeah, I was doing a number of things, mostly because our team was small.
Mm-hmm.
So I wore a lot of hats as an athlete, but yeah, I think I remember it being kind of loose. Oh, I also did the hurdles.
Yeah.
Well, not my freshman year, but the reason I didn't really know about them my freshman year. We did had one athlete who was really good, but he was a senior and he was graduating. And then I decided to pick it up the year after because everyone was scared of it.
Yeah.
But, as a new guy, what did I know? I mean, I still had to get the running thing down, let alone trying to get over a hurdle.
Yeah.
I got better when I was a new athlete, new into track. And I remember, near the end, I started beating some of the people who were already there.
Yeah.
Previously. So, and they also weren't mad. They were kind of happy of my improvement.
Yeah.
At the same time. So
that is one thing I do notice a lot with track too. Football field, you're trying to kill the other team. On basketball field, you're trying to dunk on everybody. Soccer, you're trying to shut the other team out. But in track, there seems to be a different sense of sportsmanship, whereas you can, beat somebody that you're not supposed to beat, and they'll come over and be just excited for you, a lot of times. So I will also say I noticed when I first joined, especially, and this is probably with a lot of kids who start freshman year with track and stick with it, it's almost like a buffet. There's so many different events. You're kind of trying to figure out what's your thing, figure out what's good for you, because I just knew I was going to be, running 100 to 200, running the 4x1. So then I became an 800 runner. Because it's almost like you have an idea of what you want to do, but it's almost more like once you join the sport, your interest and your talent level kind of dictate for you what you want to become, what you end up being. I hated the 800, but I was the fastest on my team in it, so I had to run it every meet because I'd be winning at league meets, even though I hated it. I was the guy that, Harris, you're in the 4x4. Oh, God, yes, thank you. Where the sprinters looking at me like I'm crazy, like, dude, who wants to run a 4x4? I'm like, the dude that runs the 800 twice every meet wants to run a 400. That's my 100-meter dash, And I also learned very important thing, too. Being the fastest on your team does not mean a damn thing outside of your team. You could be the man in your team, and you go to a meet and run against everybody else, and you just be all right. So it's a humbling experience, definitely.
Yeah. Good luck making finals.
But in a good way.
Right?
Say that again?
Good luck making finals.
Oh, yeah. I remember one year, I always hear this story about this school, a local school here in Rochester, East High, where they had about in a 100-meter final, it's going to be 8 people. They had about 5 out of 8 in the 100-meter final. And the one was a freshman. It was crazy,
So good luck getting a spot.
Exactly. I remember I was running at a time where probably in my league when I was in high school, it was the City Catholic League, which is now known as the Rochester City Athletic Conference. The City Catholic League consisted of 8 schools, 5 city schools and 3 private parochial schools. I went to a private parochial school, Aquinas Institute. And just in the City Catholic League alone, there were about 15 kids who ran 10.7 or better in the 100. So I took my little old 11.6, 11.3 and ran over to the 800 like I had some sense because, at that time it was loaded. So it was almost like I had to find my place. Okay, I thought I was going to be a 100 runner. I was fast in my neighborhood. I was fast in my team. But these dudes fast. One of my friends from high school, he still has the state record in the indoor 55-meter dash. A couple of my other friends, they still hold Section 5 records in the 4x1 and the 4x4 from the 90s. It was a fast time. So you learn either, okay, I can compete with these guys, and if you're a lady listening, I can compete with these ladies, and I got to push myself to work harder, or you know what, I'm out of my league. Let me try this other event where I'm having success at, and it kind of fits more of who I am. Because like I said, there's a lot of people who assume they're going to be a sprinter, but then you find out you might be someone like me. I could run all day, but I wasn't a 2-mile runner. I was fast, but I wasn't a 100-meter sprinter fast. I was somewhere in the middle. I had a lot of stamina, and I had really, really good speed. So the 400, 600, 800 middle distance range, that kind of fit me. Even though I had a different mindset coming in, I kind of found my niche. Even though I hated the 800 starting out, I grew to understand it and learn to like it, and ended up actually loving it. So
I just want to do whatever.
Yeah. Now, all the girls at track meets didn't hurt either. So fellas, it's a lot of girls at track meets. Ladies, it's a lot of guys at track meets. That shouldn't be the only reason you join, but it should help you stick around when you're thinking about those hard practices and not wanting to be there and not doing all these workouts. Think about the bright side. The vision, the view is always sunny, even in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to add to that.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about some of the, the experiences at like track meets as well. Indoor and outdoor for me was definitely different because obviously in indoor, it seems every meet is basically like an invitational. You have 20 to 30 schools. You're there all day. And like we said, you might run an event and have a 2-hour break before you run your next event. Outdoor track is when you'll have your league meets during the week where it's just you against another school. And that has a tendency to go a lot faster because it's only 2 schools going against each other. So the entire meet might be 2.5 hours, whereas an indoor track meet, you might be there from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. all day long. It's basically taking up your entire Saturday. So that's one thing where with a team sport, you play a game, it's a time game. Soccer has a time limit. There's a certain time per session, that you had to play. Basketball, a certain time per quarters. Football, a certain time per quarters. These are time games where if the game starts at 12, it's more than likely going to be over by like 2 unless you go into overtime. Track and field, you might get there at 10 o'clock. You might be in the first 2 of the first 4 events and be done by 12, and then you're just sitting around for the rest of the day, hanging out, cheering on your team. You might not run until 3 o'clock, depending on what event you're in the order of events. So you're sitting around for 5 hours before you run your first event. Or it might be kind of just like scattered out evenly. You might run something, it might be in the first event at 10:05. Then you might run again at like about 12:30. Then you might run again at 2, and then you're done. So that's another thing that's different when it comes to like other sports, other team sports. Some days you're going to be in and out. Some days you're going to be there all day. And some days you're going to be sitting around in between events. So you really have to be a little more responsible as far as your preparation for each event. Whereas in basketball, once you jump on the court, you're out there, you're playing. When the basket goes in and you're on offense, you're jumping back on defense. When the other team scores or you get a turnover, you're back in offense. You're just focused in the game. Same thing with football. Same thing with soccer, and most of the team sports. Track, you're focused. Okay, I'm about to run the 600. I have to run in about a half hour, so I'm warming up and getting ready and everything like that. I go run my race. I finish my race. I cool down, stretch a little bit, and then I'm just sitting there. And I might not be running again for another 3 hours, but I know in like 2 hours and 20 minutes, I need to be mindful. Okay, when my event's going, I need to go 2 events prior to my event. I need to start warming up. So you do have a little more of a responsibility on yourself versus, coach telling you, all right, come on, guys, we got to get ready. We're getting ready to play. I got to get myself ready. And it might be me and like a couple of my friends who are running the same event. We're all warming up together. I might be the only one running, so I got to go warm up on my own. Or maybe I know somebody from another school who I'm cool with that I can warm up with. So definitely a lot different, as far as meets versus games of other sports. You see, thing you want to add about that?
Yeah, and that meets with track and field. I never really talked to other people from other teams, but man, you can make friends from teams from everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not obviously a little different than a basketball game or something where it's just you against another team and you guys probably won't interact with each other. You'll do the handshake in the beginning and the handshake at the end, and then you're gone. At a track meet, you actually have time to venture out a little bit, meet new people.
Yeah.
If, you're so inclined to. I think that's good. I don't know. I'm an introvert, so I don't really talk to people.
I'm an extroverted introvert, so I met a lot of people.
I didn't even try.
Yeah. But it was funny because, like Ferdy just said, even if you're not an extrovert, you might just have friends from your neighborhood. I went to a Catholic school, but I lived in a different school district. So I had my friends from my neighborhood that ran for the school district that we lived in, even though I ran for a different school. So, you have connections that way. You might just be talking to somebody in a race and you find out they know somebody or you just become cool because you see these people every week. And after a while, as you start running, the similar events every week, you're kind of running against the same people. So that way you kind of, build relationships and things of that nature. Track is definitely one of the more social sports. And I mentioned it earlier, as you build these relationships, you may do well in an event. You might hit a PR. You might upset somebody in a race, and other people can be just as happy or sometimes even more happy for you than you are. You might be just caught up in the moment and not really understanding what's going on. And then people are like, oh my God, you know what you just did and everything like that. So, I mean, even like my teammates, when I first ran my first track meet and I went 6.72 in the 55, it was like 6.72. I'm like, oh, okay. And I was like, dude, you know what you just did? I'm like, no, I just ran. Granted, I went like 7.72 the next week. The nerves kicked in. I was on varsity and everything like that. But I mean, just sometimes just being new in the sport, you don't know what you've done, and people will like be just as excited for you as you are. So that's one of the good things I enjoy. Is in between events. I'm from the 9, so in between events we'd be playing spades until we had to warm up. Because like I said, it was basically just like a hangout all day, a competitive hangout. Especially with indoor track. Outdoor track, not so much. Outdoor track is a little more business because, like I said, the league meets, you're going against another team, and that's actually every event you do has the potential to score points for your team. So it is a little bit more competitive. It's competitive regardless in indoor and outdoor. But, the fact that you have a win and a loss on the line as far as a team makes it a little bit more competitive in outdoor. Also, it's a lot colder in outdoor.
Oh, yeah, so you got to stay moving.
Yeah, in the Northeast. Indoor, the elements don't exist. You're just inside. You're staying warm. You're relaxing. And, okay, my event's coming up in 40 minutes. Let me start warming up. Outdoor, especially, we're from the Northeast, Rochester, New York, the Northeast region of the country, where it might not get warm till the last week in May. So therefore, when you're outside an outdoor track meet, you better bundle up, because like we always tell athletes, and we've been saying this for years, it's better to have stuff to take off when you get too hot than to not have something to put on when you get cold.
That's right.
And I've been in both situations as an athlete and as a coach. I remember one time, this is somewhat related, I was in a football game, and I was injured, and I knew I wasn't playing, but I still didn't dress properly. I wore, because I knew I wasn't playing, so I didn't wear my cleats. I just wore some sneakers because I'm like, okay, I'm just dressing for the game. Because football, they're like, you got to dress. You're not playing, don't matter. You on the sideline, you dressing for the game. So I'm in my full attire, right? And I just threw on some sneakers because I'm not playing. I'm hurt. I think I had sprained my ankle or something like that. And it rained the entire game. Now, it's bad enough if you're out there playing in a game and it's all nasty and rainy and muddy. That's one thing. But when you're not playing, you're not warmed up, you're just standing there on the sideline for 2 hours in rain, and you got on a T-shirt, a football uniform, and some sneakers that the water done ran through in like the first 10 minutes. Miserable. I've seen kids come to track meets and outdoor. They have their uniform on, their warm-up bottoms maybe, and they're walking around in a blanket. But it's like 40 out and windy. And all they got is a blanket. I'm like, yo, where's your top at? Where's your warm-up? Where's your hoodie? Where's your hat? Where's your coat?
Right.
So that's one thing. Indoor versus outdoor. Be prepared for the elements. Always be prepared for the elements. Even at practices. Indoor practice, obviously, we're practicing indoor. We'll try and practice outdoor when we can, when the weather's nice. But for the most part, we're going to be indoor because obviously we don't want people to get sick. Outdoor, the expectation is to practice outdoors because you're running outdoors. The breathing is different. So you want to try and get it outdoor as much as possible. Sometimes it's raining. Sometimes you still have practice. So you always want to make sure that you have the attire for the elements no matter what. Always come prepared for a blizzard because then you won't have to worry if it's just a little bit chilly. Always be prepared for a torrential downpour. So if it's a light drizzle, you won't be that, you won't feel that bad. So
it's funny you mentioned the weather. Like today, it's February 27th.
Yep.
Tomorrow, it's going to be about 60 here.
Yep.
And we get a snowstorm on Friday.
Yep.
Welcome to upstate New York.
That's right. And that's just how it is. It's crazy. I remember last year, on my birthday, we had a track meet. It was like 70. April 11th, 2017. It was like 70, 75. Might have even been close to 80. It was
perfect.
Beautiful weather. It wasn't windy. It was a great day.
Perfect.
April 11th. It did not get warm for another meet until May 21st at the county championships. Like 6 weeks later. It was crazy. I mean, so you have to be prepared for the elements regardless, because rain, sleet, snow, we're going to have a track meet unless lightning and thunder might stop it, but rain, it's not going to stop it.
Lightning and thunder will stop it.
Yeah.
It will stop it.
Yeah.
But a little snowflake here and there.
Postpone it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been to meets where it's actually stopped it, though.
Yeah.
Because we postponed it long enough. I don't want to relive it. Never mind. I'm not going into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, like, throughout the season, kind of something to expect. Listen, in the beginning, as a new athlete, you're going to be sore. Especially if you haven't, well, no, it doesn't matter. Even if you played a different sport, you're still going to be sore because you're working. You're trying to get in track shape, which is different from being in soccer shape or basketball shape or football shape.
Different muscle groups,
It's
different skill sets.
different. And so that's the one thing you got to be cognizant about early on, is that soreness.
Yeah. Football, soccer, basketball, you guys have a lot of lateral movement. You're playing defense. You're sliding your feet, left to right. Same thing with soccer. Track and field, we're pretty much north-south. We're running. We're trying to get as fast as we can to get from point A to point B as fast as we can. And it's a different training. Whereas soccer, basketball, football, lacrosse, field hockey, these are sports. Even when you don't have the ball, you're not in play, you might still be running around, whether it be offense or defense. You're still constantly moving. So the type of endurance you need is going to be a lot different than somebody who runs the 100-meter and they're running on the track for 10 to 12 seconds. You need to be tip-top shape, ready to go for 10 to 12 seconds, and then you're sitting around waiting till your next event. Whereas soccer is a great example. Soccer, if you're one of the top soccer players on your team, you're out there for forever. It seems like just running around on offense, running back on defense. You're going and you're trying to get the ball. You're trying to play defense, guard the goal, non-stop, back and forth. Basketball, same thing. You're running up and down the court. You're going down, you're trying to score. You're coming back, trying to play defense, non-stop until there's a timeout, till the quarter ends, or till you get subbed out. Track and field, you go run the mile, you're out there anywhere from 4 to 5.5 minutes, depending on your time you run. Once that 4 to 5.5 minutes is done, you're done. That's it. So based on your events, there's going to be different endurance levels that you need. Like we've been talking about this as we plan our workouts for like our sprinters. How much endurance do you need to run a 55 or 100? 55, you're on the track for anywhere from 6.5 to 8 seconds, depending on how fast slow you are, male, female. 6.5 to 8 seconds. How much endurance do you need for that? How many kids do you see just go out in the playground and just run around for forever without stretching? Just get up and run, So the training is going to be a lot different. There's times where kids are like, "Coach, that's all we doing today?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we had a hard workout today." And they're like, "But I'm not even tired." I'm like, you may not feel it as far as like your lungs, because you run the 100, you run the 200. So we didn't do anything that's going to kill your lungs, because you're not training to run the 5,000 meter. You're not training to run the marathon. You're training to run the 100, the 200, the 400. Whereas even with the 400, we're more concerned about how fast your 200 is, because that's going to carry you along for that 400. So you might be sore, but you might not be fatigued as far as your lungs and your wind and your breathing and things of that nature, because the training methods are a lot different. The weightlifting is even different. We lift for specific results, whereas in football, you're just lifting to get strong and knock somebody out. I know you got to get scientific on it, so break down some science for us, man.
Not so much scientific, but just understanding that. If done correct, if a program is designed correctly, or at least somewhat understandable from the coach, you probably won't be doing things that you'll be doing things that seem unconventional to you. If you're starting out with sprinting, and then the coach asks you to, all right, we're gonna do some jumping things. Maybe we'll actually jump into the sandpit, and then you're wondering, well, I'm not a jumper. That's fine. The idea isn't for you to be a jumper. Maybe you could be, especially as a new athlete. You never know what you can be. But the idea is that's complementing the sprinting in itself. What we don't want to do is run too much. It seems counterintuitive, but the idea
less is more.
Yeah, the idea is really to do less, and that's also where the weight room comes in. It's just something that adds on to the sprinting ability. If you're a distance runner and wondering why maybe in a day you're sprinting or you're doing Olympic lifts, there's a reason for sprinting for a distance runner to improve your time in the distance events. Should I get into that why or not?
I say why not.
Basically, anytime you're running an event that is less than what your maximum sprint speed is, you're always running at a percentage of it. All right. So, 100% of your sprint speed is 100% is as fast as you can go. When you're running the mile, I don't know what the percentage is. Maybe you're running at 75% of that maximum speed. When you're able to increase your maximum speed, you're also able to increase the time that 75% is, therefore improving your time in that mile. That's just where sprinting comes into distance running and mid-distance and whatnot. And so even if it doesn't make sense, you can definitely ask the coach why you're doing it. And I think that helps as an athlete to, one, trust the coach, and two, definitely to understand why you're doing it and how this will improve you.
Yeah. And just kind of, elaborate on what he said. Say, for example, you have two 400-meter runners. They have the exact same workout. One kid runs 49 seconds in the 400. One kid runs 56 seconds in the 400. Why do they have the same workout? Say they're doing a workout where they're running 80% of their PR. If 80% of my PR is what's required for the workout, if I'm running at 80% of a 56-second PR, whereas somebody else is running at 80% of a 49-second PR, so their 80% is going to be a lot faster than my 80%. Same workout, but different expectations. So that's kind of to give like the other side of how your percentages, can help you out in different races. As you get faster, your percentages are going to change. Your percentage is going to get faster. If you're 80% of your 400 was okay, you got to come around in 55 seconds in the fall. By the end of the season, it might be your 80% might be 52 seconds, depending on how you improved. I'm using some drastic, crazy numbers here, but
Yeah, you are.
yeah, I'm sorry, but hey, I just saw the SEC championship, some hype, man.
Yeah,
So that's why I'm throwing out those crazy numbers. But yeah, your percentages will change as you get faster. So
yeah, basically.
Yep.
And then, like I mentioned, just you can communicate with the coach by asking, why you're doing things, and ask it in a way that you're curious, not necessarily ask it in a way.
Don't be a jerk, man.
Yeah. Well, there's one to ask in a way that you're curious, and another way to ask in a way that you're questioning.
Yeah.
the quote unquote intelligence.
Why we gotta do this, coach? This is stupid.
Yeah,
Don't ask like that.
Nah, just especially as a new athlete.
Yeah.
Because if you ask someone if anyone's questioning you on something, you don't want to respond. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, all right, whatever. You don't like it, bye. That's kind of my response.
Yeah.
To things when I'm being questioned on something. But if you're actually curious about it,
definitely come to practice with questions. There's nothing wrong with questions and everything like that. And honestly, if you ask a question because you're curious, your coach should be able to answer, why you're doing what you're doing, why you're running at a certain percentage, why are we running super, super hard today and not so much on Wednesday or Thursday, depending on, the day of the week. Why are we lifting today and not tomorrow, Your coach should be able to answer those things, and they have a reasoning for all of that. So, come to ask those questions, because not only are you going to find out what your coach is thinking and why they're doing these things, it's going to help make you a better athlete and a better student of the game as well, because you're understanding, okay, Monday speed day. Monday we're trying to be explosive. So, okay, I got to really focus on being explosive in everything I do, Thursday might be our recovery day. Wednesday might be your recovery day. So I don't want to do anything stupid, because I know I'm recovering today because we're gonna go crazy in practice tomorrow. So I got to have my body mentally and physically prepared to handle what we're doing that next day. So definitely ask those questions. And communicate with your coach. Early and often. Don't wait till like the end of the season and be that kid that's, coach, how can I get faster? And it's like a week before your championship.
Too late.
Yeah. Ask those questions early on. The only stupid question is the one you don't ask. Some people might beg to differ that, but if you're really curious, ask it. We'll let you know if it's stupid.
Yeah, say it in private. Don't say. I think in the group, I don't know what you call it, huddle. It's not even a huddle.
Yeah.
Just when the coach is talking to everyone on the team. Does anyone have any questions? You don't need to ask it then.
Yeah.
You can get up, wait until everybody goes, and then you can ask them. That's fine.
Yeah.
Or after practice.
Yep.
That's probably better.
And speaking of practice, like we mentioned earlier, how track practice can be a little more laid back and loose and things of that nature. As a new athlete, you don't want to try and take advantage of that, because that can get into a bad habit of showing up to practice late. You show up to practice, and since it's laid back, you're not really pushing yourself. You should be running a certain percentage, and you're running a percentage of your percentage. Things of that. Make sure when you're coming to practice, you're on time. You're there. Treat it like you would treat any other sport, because you're not gonna just show up to football practice late and not get asked to run, a mile. You're not going to show up to soccer practice late and not get chewed out by your coach and asked to run a mile. You're not going to show up to basketball, and not be expected to run like a million suicides until the coach gets tired. So, just show the same respect to your track coach, to your track team. Because, you got kids out there that are on your team that are out there working hard. They expect everybody on the team to be working just as hard. If you can't make practice, if you do have a scheduling conflict, because track is a different type of mindset and organization than other sports, just communicate that in advance, because things can be worked out. If you just don't show up, there's kids sometimes that just don't show up to track meets without saying anything, but they wouldn't do that if it's a basketball game, if it was a football game, if it was a lacrosse game, if it was a baseball game. They're not going to say, oh, coach, I can't make it because I kind of got to, and say it last minute. They're going to know it in advance. The schedule comes out well in advance. Make sure if you have a conflict in advance, let your coach know. There'll be a lot more understanding if you let them know in advance. Let them know if you have a medical issue. If you have asthma. If you're allergic to, tree nuts and peanuts, and there's a lot of nut allergies out there. If you're an EpiPen carrier, things of these nature, obviously it should be in the nurse's office, as far as like they should have all the information, and it should be available to any coach whose team you're on. But at the same time, if you're on a team where there's 80 kids, you might want to just remind the coach, hey, coach, yeah, my sugar's a little low today. I'm diabetic. So, just so they can pay attention, a little more to your needs. Because if you don't say anything and you rely on them looking through one of those maybe like 85 index cards that have everybody's medical needs on it, you don't want to wait till too late till you have like a breakout or a reaction to something in a practice, and then the coach has to go through all those cards. But if they know like up in advance, like, okay, this person's diabetic, this person, if they're allergic to bee stings, we need to get the EpiPen out, or if they're allergic to this, we need to do that. Make sure you communicate those things. Communication is key, regardless of anything. And just go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, once I had an athlete that was susceptible to seizures. Never happened while I was in practice, but It did happen once in practice, and I never wanted to be around it. I think one of the common ones is asthma.
Yeah.
Which common where you coach at? Now, I don't know if there's people now, but when I was there were a lot more there than when I used to coach in the city. I don't know if that's something. It's probably because the team's bigger.
Yeah.
Where you were at, or I was at, so.
But I've come across, asthma, I'd say, me personally, probably like an even amount. I'm speaking from not only just coaching at 3 different schools in my coaching career, but also as far as competing as an athlete. I had a teammate who had asthma like crazy, but I mean, she made it to states as a sprinter, so that's another thing too. With communicating any medical conditions you may have, don't let that be like a crutch or a hurdle, to you being successful. I mean, I know a lot of kids who have asthma, but they're distance runners, and successful distance runners. So don't let the medical condition hold you back from being, the best athlete that you can be as well.
Yeah, you can find a way.
Yeah, always. All right, and I think that pretty much covers what new athletes can expect, from a practice standpoint, from a meet standpoint, an interaction standpoint with, their coaches, with, their teammates, other, players and runners and jumpers and everything from other teams and things of that nature. If you're new and you're joining a track team, I would just say, just take it for what it is and just embrace it and enjoy it and just try and find out what fits you. Because one thing I like to always tell a new athlete with track, there's 19 events, we'll find something for you.
Yep.
And if once you find what that something is and you push yourself to work hard, you can be successful. Everybody might not be a state champion, but you can still be successful.
And if you're like really slow, you'll probably be put in the 100 because we don't want to waste your time, or we don't want to waste our time putting you in like a mile. Like knowing we probably should put you in the mile because that's kind of what a kind of athlete you are, but you're taking too long. So we might put you in the 100 to be like, yeah, all right, you're going to be a sprinter.
I think everybody stepped out in the 100. Let's see what he got. Oh, he's kind of fast. Whoa. Nah.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, so if anybody has any questions, want us to elaborate on anything that we talked about in regards to being a new athlete to track and field, whether it be you're a freshman and this is your first time doing track, this is your first time doing a sport ever, or you've been doing all different types of sports all your life, but then maybe you're a junior and you just decided, hey, I'm going to try track this year, feel free to hit us up, 585tracktalk@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on the IG. And
at Track Talk with us.
Yep. And that's on both. That's on Twitter and IG at Track Talk with us. Everything spelled correctly. 585tracktalk@gmail.com is the email address. And I think it's about that time, man.
Oh, we talk about a little college?
Yeah, I think it's about that time. This was a big weekend.
Yeah,
number college ranks.
Number of championships. A lot of them. I can't remember all of them. Obviously, we're gonna focus here on the SEC, but real quick, congrats to the Florida State Seminoles.
Yes,
both men and women won the ACC championships, the team championship. Let's see, we got from the MAC conference, Eastern Michigan, both men and women.
Doubled up too, right?
I'm sorry. Yeah, men and women, and top of my head. Remember Ivy League, I think University of Pennsylvania,
Okay.
UPenn women, and for
Home of the Penn relays.
yes, and for the guys, I'm gonna say Princeton. I think won. I don't remember actually.
Okay.
Whatever.
And I was flipping through.
Shout out.
When I was waiting for the SEC championships to come on, I did see the Ivy League championships were on the Watch ESPN app,
Yeah.
and I did check it out for a little bit. So, but I was waiting for the SEC championships, and for those who don't know, if you're a college football fan and you know about like SEC football, SEC track and field is pretty much like on the same playing field. It's you're gonna see the next future Olympians in the SEC. You're gonna see some of the top times coming out of the SEC, and that's not to give any discredit to any other league, but the SEC conference has some powerhouse, not only individual athletes, but powerhouse teams in general. So just to kick it off, the overall team titles, Arkansas women were the winners. They almost pulled the double in the sweep, but the Arkansas men came up a little bit short. I think it was like a two-point difference between first and second.
It can get crazy at those meets.
Oh yeah, and it came down to the 4x4 at that. And Alabama was the men's SEC indoor track and field team champion on the men's side. And like I said, it came down to Arkansas needed to score a certain amount of points in the 4x4, and they just came a 2 points short. But it was a crazy race, and just a crazy day in general. And we'll get into some of those highlights right now. Like I know a couple of things that stood out to me were the LSU women in the sprints in general.
Yep.
They do the thing. You know, they took 1 and 2 in the 60. You know, so I mean, we're talking about, I think the winning times were like 7-1-1 and 7-1-4, something like that, and they weren't too far off the national record.
Right.
It was crazy. There was a youth movement in the women's side as well. A lot of freshmen and sophomores coming home with titles. I mean, we're talking about one of the best conferences in track and field in the NCAA, and a lot of the winners were freshmen and sophomore. And those new athletes we talked about.
Not even 20.
Yeah, we just talked about new athletes. They're coming into a new team for the first time and walking away a conference champion. You know, so shout out to all those. Some of the ones I want to mention. We'll start in the 60-meter hurdles. In second place with a time of 8.04, we had Janique Brown, who's a freshman at Arkansas. Second in the 60-meter hurdles as a freshman. And we're talking about, you know, be probably the race that takes the most focus because you're running as fast as possible over 5 barriers that aren't moving. So, I mean, for a freshman to be second place in the 60-meter hurdles, that's huge. The 3,000-meter, you had Jessica Drop, who's a sophomore from Georgia, in 9:11. I mean, granted, she was 11 seconds behind the winner, but, I mean, the winner was a senior. She's only a sophomore. So, I mean, a lot of big things to come in the future.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right.
Wait, where'd you want it to go?
I was just going right back up.
Okay.
Yeah. Fourth in the 400-meter with a time of 52:42. Another Arkansas freshman, Morgan Burks McGee, 52:42, number 4 in the 400 at the SEC championships. Only a freshman. Speaking of that 400,
400 was sick though.
The second place
crazy.
winner, the second place runner in the 400 in a time of 50.62, which would have been a meet record. Lena Irby, a freshman from Georgia, only to be topped by Kentucky freshman, new meet record holder, number 1 in the nation, Sydney McLaughlin.
Jersey.
Kentucky freshman, representing Jersey, dirty Jersey Swampland, represent 50.5.
Home of the Taylor ham. You guys don't know about that. Go ahead, sorry.
But, yo, she came into the trials 50.97. Number one in the nation off the rip.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
The next day came back 50.52 meet record, number one in the nation. She's a freshman, y'all. She's already been to the Olympics 2 years ago. She's a freshman. The person that was right on her heels, that, oh my God, is she gonna catch her? A freshman from Georgia, Lena Irby, Lena Irby won the 200, 22.66. Freshman, y'all. And
this is the product of breeding by athletes. This is what happened. I don't even know their parents, but I'm just gonna guess you get a stud athlete and a stud athlete. They pop out a kid, and then now you got this going on. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's great for the coaches at their schools. Horrible for the coaches at the other schools.
Exactly. Oh my God, 3 more years of this.
Well, if they don't go pro,
yeah,
because they don't really got to worry about that.
NCAA track and field is just like college basketball. If they're that good, that young, they might not be around that long. And big shout out to one of our representatives from upstate New York, representing Rush Henrietta. She is now a freshman at Texas A&M.
Go Texas.
Go Texas. Sammy Watson wins the SEC championship in the 800 meter in 2:04.25 over her teammate, who is the reigning SEC champion, Jasmine Frey. And that race was crazy, man. I'm sitting here watching it with my family. And, coming from the Northeast, and we've seen Sammy run since like 7th grade in high school track. And we start to see some of the tendencies when we know Sammy's like pulling a move, like she's making her move. And at the third lap, like halfway through the third lap, I'm like, uh-oh. Sammy looks like she's doing the Sammy. And then when she went to the gun lap, and I'm like, is Sammy about to? And man, we just started screaming when she was coming around that last like 100, and it looked like she was just doing a typical Sammy and running away from the pack. And when she crossed the finish line at first, it was just great to see, because that she's such a humble person. She could be the most big-headed person in the world if she wanted to, but she's not.
I wouldn't even blame her.
Yeah,
if she was.
Yeah, she deserves it, and she's not. She's just still down to earth, and everything that she gets, she deserves. I mean, and it was just great to see. It was great to see, all of them. I mean, like Sydney McLaughlin, she was in the Olympics as a 16-year-old. How do you top that? Oh, just be number one in the nation in the 400 as a freshman. Oh, yeah, and be the SEC champion. And I thought they were going to win that 4x4, because Kentucky was getting killed in the women's 4x4. But when she got the baton on third leg,
she was hawking them.
Oh, my God. I think she went I think they were like 4th.
They ended up 3rd.
Yeah, they ended up 3rd overall. But I think she was like in 4th, and she came around and handed the baton off well in 1st. But speaking of that 4x4, there were 3 heats. Out of the second heat, which was not the fastest heat, LSU won it overall with a 3:30.85. And I believe that moved them up to like number 3 in the nation. That's crazy. Because they were talking about, I forgot what relay we were talking about. They're like, yeah, this relay is number 3 in the nation. Well, that's seeded because in the heat before, LSU just ran this, because I think they were number 3 in the nation at 3:31. And then LSU popped to 3:30 in the heat right before, so they kind of bumped them down to 4.
That's weird how that was seeded then.
Say that again?
How it was seeded. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, that was LSU's best time of the season by far.
There's four teams per heat, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah. But some other notables on the women's side, we had Talia Brooks from Arkansas. She's a senior. First in the pentathlon with 4,422 points. As you see, I mentioned a number of names from Arkansas, which is kind of leads to why they won the team title. Arkansas has been a powerhouse for years, so you see the men's team got second. So Arkansas is doing some things. Shout out to CC Watson. Represent. Hold it down.
Get well.
Yep. We're looking for you next year. Hopefully in the spring. Katura Orji from Georgia, senior. She had a nice little day in the jumps. She took second in a long jump in 6.53 meters, which is 21.5 1/4. And then first in the triple jump, SEC champion with a jump of 14.18 meters, which the equivalent in feet and inches is 46.6 and a quarter.
This is what we call light work.
Yeah. Crazy. 46.6. I know some fellas out there like, man, she jumped 46.6.
Bro, she jumped 48.
Yeah, that's not her PR. That's just what she won with. Yeah, that's why you said light work.
Yeah, light work.
Yeah. On the men's side, we had in the 200 meter, we had Mustakeem Williams from Tennessee. He's a junior. It was 2 heats. It was a 2-heat final. He won from the first heat. He just went out and said, "I'm going to."
20.55 indoor is crazy.
Yeah. You got to
It's
get
just
out
fast.
on a bank track. You're starting on a bank, so you're in the blocks, kind of cocked to the left. You know, and you got to kind of hold yourself up so you can get out of the blocks. And you got 2 turns, and you just got to be nothing but explosive. So 20.55 in February in indoor. Yeah, I can't wait to see what he does in outdoor. Back to the youth movement on the men's side. Akeem Bloomfield from Auburn. He's a sophomore. He wins the 400 and 45.22. 45.22. The sad part, I do not even think that is the number 1 time in the nation.
No, I don't think so. I think
Michael Norman, who's also a sophomore from USC, 45 flat. So that just shows you, number 1 in the nation is 45 flat. 45.22 is not that bad at all.
very good.
That's definitely got him up there in the rankings. So, big shout out to Akeem
I
Bloomfield.
wish I could run it.
Who you telling?
I just want to know how it feels.
Yeah.
I just want to do it one time.
I want to know how
I mean, it'll never happen, but what?
I want to know how Devin Dixon feels because he's a Texas A&M sophomore. Shout out to Texas A&M and the 800 runners. He was first in the 800 with a 149.32.
Bruh. I don't mean to get away from this, but did you see there was a high school that went 147? High schooler?
Word.
Yeah.
Stop playing.
Yeah, I'm not playing.
So, now, ladies and gentlemen, just in case you missed that, I'm going to bring it back up. So, Devin Dixon, Texas A&M sophomore, running in the SEC Championships, which is arguably the best track and field conference in the NCAAs, won the SEC Championship in 149.32. My man Ferdy right here just said there was a high schooler who went 147.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the name.
He's trying to pull the name
right
up.
here. Josh Hoey, Hoey. This is from DieStat. Set a new high school national record. This was 2 days ago in the indoor 800 with a time of 147.67.
147.67 indoors, 800. Ladies and gentlemen, in outdoor track, an 800 is 2 laps. In indoor track, an 800 is 4 laps, 8 turns. That's crazy. And he's in high school. What is he going to do in outdoor? Where is he from?
I don't know. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, because I hope he's from somewhere warm because I don't want him to have to suffer with bad weather and not get to pop a good time because 147 in indoor is sick.
I'm not sure what's going. Either way,
That's ridiculous. Yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to Devin Dixon, and shout out to Cameron Griffith. He's an Arkansas sophomore. Cameron Griffith, first in the 3,000 meter. 7 minutes, 54.19 seconds. That was a meet record. He's a sophomore. Another sophomore, Grant Holloway from Florida. He was first in the 60-meter hurdles in 7.53. He probably wasn't that happy because he already is the 60-meter national record holder as a sophomore. Said it earlier this year. So it's crazy. Another Alabama sophomore. Once again, we said Arkansas was second. Alabama wins by 2 points. Alabama sophomore, Shelby McEwen, I think is how you say the last name. First in the high jump, 2.23 meters, which is 7 feet 4 1/4 inches.
woo!
7 feet. Just think about that, man. 7 feet. I thought I was doing things jumping 5'10" in high
you
school.
could jump
man.
over Shaq.
Yeah,
Ain't he 7'3"? I think Shaq's 7'3".
Shaq's 7'1".
7'1"?
Yeah, he's clearing Shaq.
Yeah, easy.
He. You know what it is? You know what he's doing? For you young cats out there, he's high jumping Porzingis. This dude high jump Porzingis with 1.25 inches to spare. That's crazy. 7 feet 4.
Yo, forget the dunk contest. We should have the actual NBA players under the high jump.
That's what I want to see. I want to see what Vince Carter would have did in high jump. That'd have been crazy. considering he's dunked over people like literally in the international play.
Never know. He probably could have scissor kicked 7 feet.
Who knows?
Hey, he went over a 7-foot guy.
That's what I'm saying. He like literally jumped over him and dunked.
Yeah.
And he grazed his hair. That's crazy. Moving along with the youth movement, Georgia freshman, I don't know if it's Johannes Erm, was first in the heptathlon with 5,716 points. Men's triple jump was crazy. First, I want to give a shout out to another upstate New York, Rochester alumni, Reuben Owens from Arkansas. He's a senior. Took 5th place with a 15.35 meters, which is 50 feet 4.5 inches. Big shout out to Reuben, senior, representing Arkansas, Section 5, Leroy High School. But the top 2 was dominated by the youth movement. Second place, an Alabama freshman, Christian Edwards, 15.93, 52 feet 3.25 inches. Not to be outdone was first place, Florida sophomore, Clayton Brown, first in 16.08, which is 52 feet 9.25 inches. It's only February, y'all. And these youngins are putting in some work. Last but not least, like we said, the meet itself for the team title for the men's side came down to the 4x4. Arkansas, I think, was like 7 points more than Alabama to win it. And the way it worked out, I think Alabama didn't score in the relay, so Arkansas had to come in. I think they had to finish like second, or I think it was second. They had to finish. They finished second, they win the meet. They finished third, they lose. I think they ended up finishing third. But the team that won it was the host team, Texas A&M. They ran a 302.35, breaking their own meet record, and they were only .37 off the collegiate record, which USC set earlier this month with a 301.98.
Which is also a world record, indoor world record.
Which also is probably going to be a damn good race at the NCAA Championships in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That I cannot wait to see. So this was the SEC Championships recap, but this is basically just setting up another great weekend of indoor track and field with the NCAA Championships the weekend of, I want to say, March 10th. It's going to be crazy. I forget where it's going to be at. You remember where it's at?
No. I don't remember.
Yeah. But for those of you who don't know, NCAA Championships is basically your who's who of the next up-and-coming Olympic hopefuls, pretty much. So I know I can't wait for it.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, even the NCAA Championships will have people who have been in the Olympics already.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's weird.
Even if they are freshmen in college.
Yeah.
But,
also, New York State Championships are high schools this weekend.
That's right.
So congratulations to everyone who made it.
Yeah.
Hopefully the snowstorm isn't going to be too bad and you can make it in New York City.
Yeah.
In one piece.
Hopefully you're like me and you're chaperoning, so you're not driving. You're putting your life in somebody else's hands, a bus driver.
I'm just not going.
Yeah.
I don't like the snow.
I don't either.
I've retired from going outside of the house in a snowstorm.
Yeah. I've been in upstate New York all of my life. Went to college in upstate New York. The furthest I've lived outside of upstate New York doesn't exist because I've always been in upstate New York, and I'm still not used to snow. I can't stand it. I hate it. I'm cold right now just thinking about it.
Oh, yeah, that's why I went to Texas for a couple of years.
Yeah, lucky you.
I found my out, and I went. Now I'm trying to find another out.
Shout out to my family in Louisiana and Texas. Miss y'all. Miss the weather. Send some up this way.
Yeah, you just miss the weather. You don't miss them.
I miss them too because they cook well.
Whatever. You miss that weather.
Houston and New Orleans, I'm eating good. I miss them too.
That's fine. You miss the weather.
Definitely. I'm not even trying to hide that.
I'll tell my friends down there, like, I don't miss you guys. I just miss the weather.
When it's like 70 at Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
Because you know what's crazy?
You know what? I wasn't there I always came up for Christmas.
Because you know what's crazy?
Mm.
If I go to like the rankings for like men and women on the college leaderboard, oh yeah, there's outdoor times Because there's people that are already running outdoors.
Yeah, yeah.
Like right now, Xavier Matthews is a senior from Columbus State. He's already gone 10:47 on February 24th.
Oh, and in high school too. They've done
3 days ago from when we're recording this podcast. February 24th, 2018, 10:47.
Yeah.
It's February, y'all. Paul Doan from UC San Diego is going 21:54, February 17th. It's crazy. What you gonna do?
Move.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move.
Yeah, I'm just praying for some good weather. Not only because I enjoy good weather, but think about some of these times we mentioned, and not all of them are number one in the nation because, like we said, we have a team like USC.
Oregon.
Oregon. Yeah, a team like USC who's gone 301.98 in the 4x4 indoors. I pray for good weather. Because this, unfortunately, is not an Olympic year. And since it's an even year, I don't think it's a World Championship year either, is it?
For indoor, there is.
Indoor World Championships, yeah. But for outdoor, I think it's just Diamond League all year.
Yeah. There'll be a World Championship next year.
Yep.
And then the Olympics the following.
That is correct. So, yeah. Yeah, so a lot of good things happened this weekend. Like I said, week and a half. Weekend of March 10th is the NCAA Championships. Should be some fireworks there, cause and that's the thing I like about like college. They give time off, for those athletes that did pop that major PR, and they need like that 7-day recovery. Just get
I don't know. They usually don't get it though.
Yeah.
I don't know, cause then spring break comes, but they're usually I don't know how it works in college. To be quite honest, I know. A number of schools, especially up here, they'll go, somewhere like South Carolina or something, or just down south, so they can run in a meet and practice.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Yeah,
that's man. It. So a lot to look forward to, but I think that's about it for this episode. So new athletes, like we said, if you have any other questions on what to expect, when you join track for the first time, whether it be you're a young new athlete and it's your first sport ever, whether you're an athlete coming from a different sport, hit us up. Don't be afraid to ask questions. 585tracktalk@gmail.com. Hit us up on IG and Twitter @tracktalkwithus. And as you can see from what we talked about with the SEC Championships recap, age is nothing but a number in track and field. You can be a seasoned veteran and dominate. You can be an incoming freshman and dominate. Just make sure you give it your all. Train hard. Trust your coaches. And good things will come. All right? Eat right. Eat your vegetables.
Find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes. Tell your friends they can watch or download from any of those avenues.
Subscribe. Click the link at the bottom. Subscribe. Add us to a playlist. We have our own playlist if you subscribe. So, yeah, subscribe on iTunes as well. Friend us on SoundCloud. With that being said, this has been episode